Hey there, it's Teresa here after a week's hiatus with these episodes. It's good to be back. So, if you are catching the replay, just know that I really thank you for taking the time. And I welcome your comments, your questions that come out of this conversation that we're having here. And if you're hopping on live, welcome, welcome, welcome. Make sure you just shoot in a hi so I know you're here. So 2 weeks ago, I was speaking at a conference, and last week I had a couple of speaking events too. And one thing I know is that whenever I get an opportunity to speak like that, the process of it gives me more clarity. And what on the other side of those speaking events, what came out for me? Hey, Susie, glad you could be here. What came out for me was that for you and I to experience all of the abundance that's available to us, that we were created to experience, to be the fullest, most complete, whole expressions of ourselves. There are three relationships that we've got to do some work around. We've got to do some healing around. One is our relationship with money. One is our relationship with ourselves. And the third is our relationship with God, whatever that means for us. God, divine, spirit, source. Good morning, Shayna. Because what I'm getting clear at is a lot of the people that I'm here to serve have grown up with a Christian, usually Judaic Christian religious upbringing. But that upbringing has left them with wounding or inaccurate beliefs about themselves, about God, about money, and it's creating fear and scarcity. It's limiting us and preventing us from being the fullest expression of who we are to be. And I say us because I include myself in that process. I have said for 23 years, I am the poster child for the expression, you teach best what you most need to learn yourself. And that is especially true for me. So, how these conversations came to be about starting to make a connection between money, God, you, me, is because I'm in a Game Changers mastermind program with Jeffrey Van Dyke, and it's all culminating with us responding to a calling in our hearts, a message that we're feeling called to deliver, that speaks to our tribe and gives them a new way of looking at things. And my big idea is that we all need a new creation story in order to create a new financial story, and for that matter, a new life story. Because the people in my tribe who grew up in a Christian religious background have been left with either parts of the creation story from the book of Genesis that sets up scarcity instead of abundance, or they've just been the wrong creation story is what has shaped their lives. And you know, how you start a story, I think we talked about this 2 weeks ago, is going to determine the trajectory of the story and how it ends. So when you start with a story of scarcity, a creation story, it's what's going to follow. But the real creation story, the first creation story, is one of abundance. And so these conversations are very informal. I don't do a lot of planning for them. I'm just sharing with you here some of the things that have come up for me as I'm being with this idea. Now, this past week, hey, Masha, glad you could be here. This past week, this has taken on a whole new level of me going back and doing work about my creation story to create a new financial story because of some financial challenges that I faced this past week. So it's like I'm buying into this conversation even more. So as I was sitting with what I wanted to share this morning, a really strange story from my past came up. And I think it fits. Let's see. This happened, I'm guessing about 12 years ago. And my husband has some cousins who live in Madison near us. And they're like his first cousin's daughter and her new husband. They had just gotten married and they wanted to take a quick getaway weekend honeymoon, but they didn't know what to do with their dog. Their young, not quite a puppy, but not much beyond a puppy dog. And so Dan and I agreed, oh, we could take care of him. He wasn't that big. He had a kennel. His name was Kitsu. So we're taking care of Kitsu. And they had encouraged us to leave him outside, like on a chain or a leash where he'd still have room to run as much as possible. And because we have a really small house, like 800 square feet, that's what we did. Except for on the second day, Kitsu got loose. I still don't know how he got the leash, the collar. I mean, literally, he shed his collar. He had no collar. The chain was just left hanging there. And we have 4 acres, on one side of which is, a busy county highway, and Kitsu was loose. Now, I have to admit, I've never owned a dog. I also have to admit, I completely freaked out. I was so immediately scared that Kitsu was going to run away. He was going to get hit by a car. And oh my gosh, what are we going to do? So I did the only thing I knew to do. I started chasing Kitsu, screaming at him to come back. And I'm chasing this dog who runs like a deer all over our property. The more I chased him, the more Kitsu ran. I kept hollering at my husband to come help me chase him and catch him. Dan, who's owned dogs before, kind of laughed a little bit because he knew that wouldn't work. And finally, because I was just absolutely exhausted, I couldn't keep up with him. I couldn't chase him anymore. I just collapsed on the grass on what I call our back 40, kind of tears streaming down my face, and just said a prayer. And I said, please, Kitsu, come. And almost as soon as I stopped chasing him, he very quietly walked over to me and let me pet him. That's a mirror up for me around what I've done a lot with money. I've chased it. And it seems like the more I chased it, the further it was from me. Can any of you relate to this? If you can, give me a, yeah, been there, chased it before. Exhausting myself in the process. Feeling frustrated and scared that if I can't catch it, something bad is going to happen. Not knowing that if I could just stop chasing it, I could trust that it would be there and it would come. Susie's going, yep, I'm a chaser. Yep. So as that story came back up to me, I'm going, what does this have to do with the creation story and this big idea? And here's what I saw. We've been talking about the different creation stories. There are 2 in the Bible. There's one in Genesis 1, which is the one that, if you've heard it took 7 days for God to create the earth, 7 days being not literal. And everything that God created was good. And then the second creation story, which begins about a little bit into chapter 2 of Genesis, it starts with the creation of Adam and Eve, and then the creating of the garden. And then in the 3rd chapter comes the part of the creation story that most people of the Christian background at least are intimately aware of. It's been drilled in them. It was when Adam and Eve ate the fruit of the tree that God forbid them to eat, and sin entered the world. And most of us then have grown up with this belief that we are inherently bad or wrong or sinful. And so our whole lives are about like trying to do what we think we need to do to be loved and blessed by God. And if we're really good, one day when we die, we're going to get to be with God in heaven. There's some chasing in that, because in that second creation story that kind of begins with sin as the starting point, God is separate from Adam and Eve. God is separate from us. Adam and Eve were kicked out of the garden where everything was good. And suddenly God was out there someplace in heaven. And if we believe that the good that we want is separate from us, that we are not in the garden, that we don't have abundance, then the patterns that start to show up in our lives look a lot like what I looked like. It would have been a funny video going viral on YouTube, I'm sure, when I was chasing kitsu like a mad woman around our 4 acres. So if it's not about chasing money, if it's not about that it's separate from us, if the good that we want is not separate from us, is it just as simple as we just need to stop, do nothing, fall to the ground in the back 40 and it will magically come to us? Well, I don't think that's the case either, because even thinking that it has to magically come to us, we're still thinking of it as being separate from us. Yeah, Shayna's just hopping in with something here for me, that the sinfulness of the creation story is not part of the Judaic tradition. It's something Christians added on, but it's not congruent with the original creation story. So thanks for reminding me of that, Shayna. That's why I'm here, to kind of have the people that I know that I'm meant to work with, who kind of have a religion of origin wounding or issues that go back to like that sin and that we're not good. We had to go back to the first creation story. So is it that we just like sit on the back 40 and the money that we need or the resources that we need like just magically quietly come to us? Well, maybe in some respects, because in the sitting and resting and being quiet and still, I was putting out a different energy than when I was chasing. But then this morning, as I was thinking about what to share and what tied this together, is I remembered like something that literally God told me in February at another time when I was experiencing some financial challenges and was aware of that tendency of mine to like, oh, I got to make something happen. I got to chase it. And I knew I needed to respond differently. So oftentimes what I do as part of a prayer process, this is something I've learned from Jeffrey, my coach, is Carl Jung developed a process called active imagination, AI for short, where it's like you can dialogue using your intuition, your imagination with parts of yourself. Or one thing that's been very supportive for me is like with God. And so on this February day, when I was suddenly like, whoa, I haven't been in this kind of a depleted financial state in a really long time. And I was feeling scared and I was worried about not enough and I didn't know what to do, but I knew that chasing wasn't going to work. I brought that all to God with the intention and the goal and asking God to support me to have the financial resources that I saw I needed for the next month, which was in the tune of $5,000 or more. And as I'm like kind of venting out in journaling style, my fears and my concerns and my needs and breaking through some past issues, which I may address in a future conversation about, like, I'm not supposed to ask God about money. That's more of that separation. Like money and God don't go together, but they do. This is what came back to me. And it was such a huge tilt that I think I want to share it with you because it's more in keeping with the first creation story, that our starting point of creation is one of abundance, of all that we need is provided for us. It's all there. It's for us to utilize it. And there's more things I can be talking about, so I've got to stay on focus here because I've got all these ideas popping in my head. So I simply want to read it as it came to me and then see how or if that may support you. So let me check some conversation. The dog who chases its tail never catches it. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to respond to some of your comments right towards the end because I can see there's some good conversation. So this is how it came through to me. There was a lot of preface before this, but in terms of my, please God, I need $5,000. God started with this metaphor. It's like an Easter egg hunt, Teresa. When a child is told to go looking for the Easter eggs, or an adult is set off on a treasure hunt, there is never a doubt in the presence of the Easter eggs or the treasure. There's only the wonder or curiosity or the discovery of where it is. And so it is with you and your $5,000, Teresa. So it is with you and whatever your dreams, your financial needs are. It's already done. It's already there. It's already available here. Begin the journey. Begin the hunt with anticipation and expectation and wonder and delight. Follow the clues. Listen to your heart. Stay alert. Be aware. Pay attention. Have fun in the discovery process. And never, ever doubt that it is already there. You may not know where yet, and you may not see it right now, but there is no doubt that it is there and that you will find it, that you will have it, because I have provided it for you already. It's already done. That's pretty much the message of the Genesis 1 creation story, and even the first part of Genesis 2. It's already there. It's already done. It's already provided for us. We don't have to go out and make it happen. We don't have to chase it down. It's not separate from us. It's not out there. It's here. And then God continues. Now, when a child goes out on an Easter egg hunt, they have a picture of an egg in their head. They are going on that hunt looking for eggs. As they are on that hunt, they may see birds and stones and sticks and flowers, and that's all great and interesting, and they enjoy it. But what they're looking for are eggs. They've got a clear picture of what they're looking for, so they go running, not chasing. They just go running excitedly all over the yard, looking under trees and looking under bushes and looking under chairs and looking up and looking down and looking around. And what they're looking for is an egg. If where they look, they do not see an egg, then they go someplace else. This is the image. This is the practice for you with your need and your request for $5,000 or more this month. Look for it. Picture it. Keep your eyes, keep your mind focused on it. Notice everything else. Enjoy everything else. And keep moving for the egg. Now, going back to that, already there, already available here, begin the journey, begin the hunt with anticipation and expectation and wonder and delight. Follow the clues, listen to your heart, stay alert, be aware, pay attention, have fun in the discovery process, and never doubt that it is already there. There's no fear in that. Imagine if that was how you approached your relationship with money. Imagine if that was how you approached your relationship with life. No matter where you're at, maybe you're drowning in debt, maybe you have a lot of money, but what if it was about that instead of the chase? What if you could live into the belief that it's already done, it's already here, it's already there, it's been here from the beginning, available to you. And it's simply about the process of discovering it with wonder and curiosity and awe, of listening and following clues. This is very different than chasing, 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 because we think that what we want, we have to make happen, we have to struggle for, or we think it's separate from us. Because in that second creation story after the fall of Adam and Eve, the image that many people have of them, of God, is out there and we're here. And out there is good and heaven and abundance. But here in our reality, it's like, oh, it's scarcity and lack. Time for a new creation story. Already here, an Easter egg hunt with a never-ending supply of eggs. So I think from my little notes, fear is a habit. It's a habit I've lived a lot. Fear is a habit that creates scarcity. I firmly believe that fear can be replaced with wonder, which is a combination of curiosity and awe. The first creation story is filled with wonder and awe. The fear enters in later. And I'm going to be talking about that in some of my future conversations too, because that impacts our relationship with money, our relationship with ourselves, and our relationship with the source of everything. And it can make the difference between scarcity or living in abundance and being the fullest expression of who you are created to be, day by day by day. So that's what I've got. Let me quick check comments. How many of you is this resonating? Just let me see some responses while I read these comments and take a sip of my tea. I like to pour my tea because it's one of my little comfort things, but it seems like I never get to drink it on these conversations. So let's go back here. Susie's saying, yep, she's a chaser. Laura's like so out of breath from the chase. Oh, I hear you. I hear you. So fear driven too. Shana already said the sinfulness does not exist in Judaism. Yeah, there's a wisdom you have, Shana, that did not get translated to Christianity. Shana goes on to say they did not follow instructions. There were consequences, but that doesn't make us inherently bad, like original sin. I like, oh, that's a cool translation. I'm going to have to talk to you more about that. Shana goes, we Jews often see it more as a sign that Adam and Eve had grown up, gained knowledge of good and evil, and it was time to leave the playpen, the Garden of Eden. That's one interesting idea. I'm going to have to consider that, maybe talk to you about it. I've got some other ideas about it, but that's really cool. But either way, it's not about we are inherently bad, and the good that we want is separate from us. It's already here. It's within us and it's around us. Hey, Kamala, glad you could be here. Shayna's going on with dog who chases a tail never catches it. Susan, so glad you could be here. Lisa, yeah. What if you replaced every time you noticed fear coming up, have to admit it, but you shifted to a place of wonder, which is that combination of curiosity and awe. Like that. And let me just end maybe with this. I think I've shared this before, but I now have a very clear definition of abundance. So when I'm talking abundance, this is what I'm talking about. And it taps into that wonder, curiosity, awe. Abundance is knowing, like knowing in our being that we are part of something bigger than we are. the whole of creation. And we have access to all that we need. Then we can go to that place of wonder and curiosity and awe, like, where is it? It's already there, but where is it? How will I find it? What are my clues? Like that. What can I use? Kamala likes that too. So, any final comments from you all? I so appreciate you all being here. I will be back again next Wednesday for this, but it's going to be a little different. I'm going to be doing it from LA. Where I will be out working with Jeffrey on some more of this big idea, this idea that we need a new creation story to create a new financial story. Because bottom line, the three relationships that most impact our experience of abundance and well-being in life is our relationship with money, our relationship with ourselves, and our relationship with our God. So thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it. If you know anyone who might resonate with this or be supported by this, please, I'd love it if you would share this video with them as well. And if not, hope to see you next week, same time. I'll be in a different place, but we'll be here together on Facebook Live. Blessings on your day. Bye.